Hello, in this video I want to talk about Webviews in React Native. So sometimes you want to write native code and sometimes you just want to load a web page from either the internet or you want to load your own HTML into your app. And there's a very easy way to do that in React Native. It's called React Native Webviews. So if you go to the docs here for React Native, you'll see that the WebView component has been deprecated here. So we can go here, just do npm install React Native WebView like this here. So if you go to the app here, I've already done that. So I'm going to go down here to the package.json, and you can see that I've added that library here. And I've also added a library called React Native Progress. So if you go to this tab here, this is a great library to add progress bars to your app. It's very, very simple. As you can see down here in the docs, you do npm install React Native Progress, and then you can choose from a normal progress bar or a circle or a pie here too. So we're just going to stick with the bar. Let's go back to the app, and I've added both of those. I've added the WebView here, and I've added the React Native Progress here. You don't really need to do any other setup for Android and iOS, which is nice. So if you go to the playground, right now all I have is a blank fragment here. So we can go here, you see it's blank. The first thing I want to do is I want to import that WebView component. So let's go back here to the docs, and I want to import this. So I'll copy and paste this into the app. And now I want to create the WebView component. So I'm going to return that here. So I'm just going to say WebView, and we can actually just terminate that here. And for the WebView, first you need the source. So you put in the source prop here, and it's pretty easy. You just do equals and then 2 brackets here. First you want to put in the URI, which tells the WebView where to go. And I'm just going to put in, let's say, google.com, very simple. Save this, but this needs to be on the same line here. There we go. So let's open the WebView, and now you can see that we loaded it from google.com. Very easy. The thing I like about this library is if you go to different links, then you still stay within this window here. And now let's see how you would actually handle an error. So there's a few errors that you can get with Webviews. Let's go down here, and there's a prop called onError. And then in this prop, it takes in an event. So we can say event, and then we can actually console log that event. Console.log. Let's actually do an alert for that. So I'm going to say alert, and then I'm going to pass in some string here. So it's going to be a template string. So I'm going to say WebView error, and then we'll pass in the event here. So look at the type of event here. So if you hover over here, it says event is a web error event. So that's not actually what you want to print. You want to print the native event. So you say dot. If you look in here, there's a few different variables that you can use. I want to say native event. This is of type WebView error. So this is actually where you would get your error from right here, like your error string. So we can say native event, and then we can say dot. And then you have a few different options here. You can print the error code, description, URL, etc. So we're going to print the error description here. Yeah. Okay. If you go back to the WebView, nothing will happen yet because this is a valid domain. But let's put in a URL that's not valid. So let's put in some random string here. Save. Let's go back to our Open WebView button. And you'll see here, it's kind of hard to see. The text is pretty small in here, but you'll see that it says WebView error, a server with a specified hostname cannot be found. So this is what you would expect for that type of network error. Okay. And the package also prints out the error on the WebView screen itself, which is nice. Okay, so let's go back to our normal domain here. Let's change this to Amazon.com just to show more stuff on the screen. So let's do Amazon.com, and I'm going to comment out this error for now. So let's go back and open. And now you see the Amazon site here. So next I want to talk about injecting JavaScript within your WebView. Maybe you have a website that you want to load, but you want to change the background color or the font sizes, or you want to show an alert from the website to your app, it's actually pretty easy to do that. So let's go up here and I'm going to create a new, say, constant JavaScript. And I'm going to create a template string. That's because we are going to have strings within this string. So I'm going to say window to get the window and say dot alert. And then I'm going to put in a string here to alert the app. I'm going to say this is JavaScript. And then down here, there's a few props that we can use. We can say injected JavaScript, injected before content for mainframe only. I'm going to say before content. So before the content is loaded, I want to show this alert. So I'm going to say equals JavaScript here, like so. So I'm going to save, and then let's go to our web view. You can see that we have this is JavaScript injected into this page before it's loaded. And now the page is loaded. Okay, so say you have a local HTML file that you want to load into your web view. So how do you do that? That's actually pretty easy. So before the video started, I actually put a simple HTML file in the app. I just copied this from a simple site on the web, so I don't have to type all this stuff out myself. So this is where you would put it for the iOS app. And if you want to load HTML from Android, you actually need to put that inside of the Android directory. So you go up here, go to your source main assets, and then put the simple HTML inside of this assets folder. So keep that in mind. If you want to load HTML from Android, it has to be inside of the Android directory in the assets folder. But for iOS, it doesn't need to be in the iOS directory. It just needs to be in the assets folder for your app. So let's go back to the playground screen here. And now I want to point to both of those locations for Android and iOS. So I'm going to create a new constant. Local file equals, then this will be a ternary operation. So I want to know whether I'm on Android or iOS. Doing that is actually pretty easy. So all you do is say platform dot OS. So this gets the OS version, whether it's iOS or Android for our case. Then I'm going to say if it equals iOS first, then I want to actually return that file for iOS. Let's look in the docs again real quick. Let's go up here, file. So you will see here for iOS, you would do require and then point to the local HTML file. So you can see this works for iOS and Windows. And for Android, you need to point to your assets directory, which all you need to do is put file, 3/, Android asset, and then your local HTML file here. So let's go back to our code. For iOS, we say require, and then we put in quotes here, dot assets, and then we just point to our file. Pretty easy. Colon, and for this needs to be a URI. So we do brackets, URI, and then we can say file, 3/, and then we can say Android asset, and then we point to our sample.html. So this Android asset points to the asset directory of your Android app. So this always has to be named Android asset, Android_asset. And I'm missing the question mark here. Okay. So now actually loading it is pretty easy. We can comment this line out, and I want to do source local file. And that's it. So let's restart the app. Let's go here. You can see we still have this in there. And then we load our file. So I'm going to comment that out too. So this is the HTML file. You can see this is a header, this is a medium header, etc. The text is very small. You can change that yourself using the font sizes, but I just wanted to show you how to actually load the HTML file locally. So now I want to talk about another way to push data from your JavaScript code to your app. So let's go back to the docs. And as you can see, there's another way to actually push data from JavaScript, and that's postMessage and onMessage. onMessage is another prop for the web view. It takes in an event just like the onError prop. So let's do equals event. So I'm going to just show another alert just to show you that it's working correctly. So I'm going to say alert, and pass in this event. So similar to the on error, this event is not the actual message that we want. So we say event, and then we say dot native event. So we have Webview message is the type here. So in the Webview message, we have a few different options, but we just want to get the data. So dot data. Okay, but now this app doesn't do anything by itself yet. So we can go back. So you can see everything is the same here. So to pass data back to our screen here, we need to actually put data inside of the JavaScript. So let's go back to our sample.html file here. And I'm going to actually put a message to post data. I'm going to go back to the docs just to save time. And I'm going to say on message. And let's search for postMessage. So postMessage, that's here. So I'm going to copy this part and put that at the top of this HTML file. And this should be inside of the script tag. My mistake. So this is a script that we're adding to the HTML. But I'm just going to get rid of the timeout for this. So let's do this. And let's just do window post message. And I'm going to say this is a message from JS. And save. Let's go back to the app. And you can already see it here. But let's reload it just to make sure. And ta-da, you can see that we have a new alert here saying that we have our message. So I showed you two different ways to actually post data from your JavaScript to your app. So there's a couple other things I want to talk about too. So if we go back to our playground here, we can also inject inline HTML. So instead of the local file here, we can also pass an HTML object to here. So we can say brackets HTML. So this is a static HTML page to display in the web view. And you can put whatever HTML you want in here. So let's just put a header. So let's just say H1, this is inline HTML. And this has to be in quotes. Don't forget that. And save. And now you can see we have our inline HTML here. Pretty easy. So let's go back to our Amazon source. So comment this out. And you can also add headers to your web view too. So let's go down here. You can do a comma. So you can add headers. And I'm assuming that you know how to format headers. You just do your key and value. Whatever your key is here, you will put it here. Whatever the value is here, you can put it here. So maybe you'll have a authentication key or something. You can put that here. So let's put that on a different line here. So the last thing I want to talk about is probably the most interesting thing for this type of video, and that is the progress bar. We have already added the progress bar library to our app. Let's go back to the document for that. And let's import our progress. So let's do this import here, copy and paste into the app. I want to show the progress bar for the page being loaded up top. So I'm going to add a fragment to here. So let's do this and put the end down here. Okay. So now I want to add the progress bar up here. So if we go back to the docs here, you can see we have a few different props that we can add to our progress bar component. Let's copy this here to save time. I'm just going to leave it as this for now, just so you can see how it is. But for the width, it says in the docs for the width, if you want it to be the full screen, then you would just set it to null. So we'll set it to null here. And let's save. And now you can see we have our progress bar here. But now we want it to be loading as the web page loads. So luckily, Webview actually provides you with the progress as the web view loads. First, I want to create some state for the progress because I want to send the progress from our web view to our state, which then the progress bar listens for. So let's go up here. I'm going to actually create some constants for that. So I'm going to say constant. I'm assuming that you know how to use hooks for React Native. If you don't, then please look at my video that I did for hooks. The link should be at the top of the screen now. Okay, so let's do constant, and I'm gonna say, let's call it progress, and then I'm gonna say set progress. And then we're gonna say use state, and then we're gonna pass in 0 by default. So no progress by default. Use state. And while I'm here, I want to create a second state. So I want to say constant. I'm going to call this is loaded. So I want to state for knowing when the page has been loaded or not. So is loaded. And then I want to say set loaded equals use state. And by default, it will be false. So you can set it to true and do it a slightly different way than I'm doing it, but it's really up to you. Okay, so we have our two states here. So now in the web view, how do we actually set our state? So there's two different props that are very helpful for Webview. There is the on load progress and on load end. So on load progress, I actually want to set the progress here. So on load progress equals, we get another event in here. This event is of type Webview progress event. But again, we need to use the native event from that object. So we could say set progress from our state above. And then I want to pass in the event.native event. If we want to, we can actually just take out the native event from here directly. Let's just say native event in brackets and just say native event. Here we go. Native event dot. And then you have a few different options here, but we want to get the progress. So progress is a number. So let's save. And now let's actually handle our progress in the progress bar itself. So let's put these down here, and I want to set the progress based on our state. So we just copy this into our state here, or into our progress here. And save. And as you can see, it was very fast, but the actual progress did change as the page loaded. So let's go back. Let's load it again. See? And it goes from 0 to 100. It's kind of hard to see on here, but the actual progress bar isn't square, it's rounded. So there's a lot of curvature at the end here, which we don't want. So I'm gonna go up here. And you can actually style the progress bar the way you want to. So I'm going to actually set the border width to 0 because I don't want that blue outline that you see here. So you can see the blue outline here. I don't want that. So let's set that to 0. And I want to set the border radius to 0. 0. Okay. So let's go back and see how this looks. Looks a lot better. Let's change the color too. So we can change the color. So color equals, let's just do orange. So we have orange now. So this works great so far, but we want the progress bar to go away when the page is loaded. So that's pretty easy. We can go down here and we can say on load end. So for this, we can also pass in the event if we want to, but we don't really need it for this case. So I'm just gonna leave that empty. And for this, I wanna set the progress, or sorry, I wanna set the loaded now. So I wanna set loaded equal to true. So when the page first loads, this loaded flag will be false. And when it's done loading, we'll set it to true, okay? And now up here, we wanna have a condition that makes this null when we have loaded our page. So doing that is actually pretty easy. We can just create a ternary operation. So let's go down here and create some brackets. And I want to put that inside of our bracket. And I want to say if not is loaded. So if the page has not been loaded, then I want to show this here. So question mark this, else I want to just show nothing. So we'll put null here. Okay, so let's save. Let's go back and let's open this again. And now you can see after our page loaded that the bar went away. That's actually pretty useful. You'll see a lot of apps using progress bars in different ways. This is a pretty typical way to use a progress bar for your web views in your app. I think that covers everything that I want to do with web views. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Stay tuned for the next video and happy coding. Bye.